There's new evidence to corroborate a top al-Qaeda chief's confession that he personally beheaded the Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl. 9 years after that brutal killing, a new study out today reaches some very disturbing conclusions. Brian Todd is here with the details. Brian?
Wolf, lots of compelling new detail in this new report on Daniel Pearl's murder, including information on how investigators tied the killing to alleged 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
He claimed he had cut off Daniel Pearl's head with his, quote, blessed right hand. But because he'd said that while in U.S. custody, where he'd also been waterboarded, and because he'd been known to exaggerate, there'd been lingering doubts that alleged 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed had really done that. He was never charged with the crime. Now, a report that seeks to erase those doubts.
We've gotten more details from the FBI's interviews with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed that chronicle how he was drawn into the plot through an al-Qaeda operative in Pakistan.
Ashra Nomani was a friend and colleague of Daniel Pearl's at the Wall Street Journal. She led an exhaustive investigation by a group of Georgetown University students of Pearl's murder in Pakistan 9 years ago. The authors say they can pin the killing on Khalid Sheikh Mohammed because they analyzed an unusual technology called vein matching. They say at one point the FBI asked the CIA, who was holding Mohammed, to take a picture of his right hand. Investigators took that picture and matched it against a frame in the video of Pearl's murder. In that video, all you can see of the killer, according to this report, is his hand. The report says the vein patterns on the hand in both images were a match. We asked a respected criminologist about that.
I think together with the fact that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed has confessed, I think together that points everybody in the right direction. Whether or not this will be admissible in the courtroom is a question.
Lawrence Kopolinsky says that's because vein matching hasn't been fully validated as an investigative tool. The new report from the Center for Public Integrity says a man named Omar Sheikh was wrongly convicted of actually killing Pearl, though he did allegedly set up Pearl's kidnapping. It says Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was asked by a top al-Qaeda operative to get involved because the kidnappers didn't know what to do with Pearl.
At one point, this entire kidnapping could have gone a different direction, right?
What we discovered was that Omar Sheikh actually had as his original ransom note that Danny would be released. And so the case turned and became murder, but it wasn't meant to start off as a murder, and Danny was actually supposed to be released.
According to this report, Pakistani officials mishandled much of the Pearl investigation, not only by pinning the murder on the wrong people, but by not picking up at least a dozen men who were allegedly involved in the plot, and by letting at least one man who was go free. Contacted by CNN, officials at the Pakistani embassy here in Washington didn't want to do an interview. They told me off camera their government did not botch the investigation. They did not convict the wrong people, but they say they'll send this report back to Pakistan to see if any part of the Pearl case should be re-examined. Excuse me. The FBI would not comment on any part of this report, Wolf.
The report also gets into the reaction from Osama bin Laden to word that Pearl had been kidnapped and killed.
Really fascinating part of this report. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed had said he wanted to exploit Pearl's murder for propaganda. But according to the report, a detainee at Guantanamo told interrogators that when bin Laden found out about how brutally and publicly Mohammed had killed Daniel Pearl, he was very angry. He said he didn't want that kind of attention brought on al-Qaeda. He was angry at the brutal and public nature by which Mohammed allegedly killed Daniel Pearl.
Sending planes into buildings and killing 3,000 people, not so brutal.
I guess that was it was okay to bring attention to al-Qaeda that way, but not the way he killed Danny Pearl.
All right, thanks very much, Brian Todd reporting.